I'm Joyce Eng with Gold Derby here with Matthew Hemesath, costume designer for Girls5eva. And I have to guess, of all the shows to join in its second season, this has to be one of the most fun, just so extravagant, fabulous. It feels like the possibilities are endless with costume design. So was that the case?
Absolutely. I was already a fan of the show before I was hired to design season 2. And I just knew it was my dream job. And so I begged them to hire me, basically. And what was so wonderful about it is the show was already fabulous. Season 1 was great. I didn't feel like there needed to be any fixing. It was just taking these characters further and just building on what had already been done and watching them grow and also it was exciting to put my own stamp on their looks and things that I love, like a lot of color, a lot of pattern, and to sort of take it up to a few of my favorite things.
What are some of your favorite things?
It's just like I try to bring a sense of humor and joy to everything I do. And so I wanted to sort of banish neutrals, earth tones, pastels, and keep everything really bright. And so that the costumes really matched the tenor of the script. And to just bring a lot of fun while also adding a little more depth to the characters. Like I thought Busy looked beautiful in one, but taking her a little bit out of all the pink and Barbie and making her a little bit more of a housewife, and giving her a few more signature colors to play with, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Did you have any favorite looks from season 1?
I had a lot of favorite looks. The 4 ladies had 269 costumes between the 4 of them. So it's kind of hard to choose. But I do always love the group looks when they have a performance. Because it starts with the fittings are so much fun. And then when they haven't seen each other. So when they come out of their dressing rooms and they're screaming and like checking each other out, and like that's when I know, okay, I did my job well. And I sort of love the rooftop performance. I think it's in episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
When they all have those great coats, and it started with, I knew they would be on the roof. I knew that it would probably be a gray day in New York. So I wanted to, just give something really fabulous to look at. And I knew that they would need coats because it was cold. It was so cold when we were shooting that. So that all sort of gave me a little framework to start, working in. Those were the practicalities. And then we could just work on the fun things from there. And what would they be inspired by? Like the Beatles, they'd all be kind of thinking 1960s, early 70s, and what might they have in their closets, or would they be able to buy really quickly? And then also just like a few fabulous things thrown in there with the magic of TV.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that was a really happy scene, and also just funny because I love that they look great. They're having this moment, they're really feeling it, and then it gets ruined.
Of course it does. So,
and
but
it's
hilariously
again,
so, because the location of that rooftop is important as a tease for everyone. Well, yeah, the code collection is fabulous on the show, because you guys shot in the winter, I'm assuming, in New York, so you necessitated codes. But one of the first times this season that I had to pause and laugh was I think in episode 2, the beginning, when Wickie and Dawn point out Wickie's coat from the Nicole Kidman Undoing Collection. Great line, first of all, but your coat for it actually, because when I saw it before they set the line, I was like, that looks like an undoing coat.
Oh, good,
The
good.
green coat with like the purple fur. So I guess like when I'm assuming that was like in the script when you got it. And so how do you go about designing
Mhm,
a Nicole Kidman Undoing Collection coat?
mhm. Yes, that was written in the stage direction in the script. And I happened to be friends with the designer of the Undoing, so that was really fun for me, to have a little secret of paying homage to her design. So I think it started with the color for me. Of course, I wanted the same shape, um, but we needed that gorgeous acid green, a little more pumped up than what the actual Undoing coat was. And so we made that, my tailors made that in our shop in about 3 days.
Wow. How
And
many outfits did you guys make and how many did you source altogether?
it's hard to tell. I would say we made about 25% of the costumes. Everything is so fast that we end up styling with store-bought clothing a lot, or starting with a garment that already exists and then adding to it, taking it apart, putting two together, that sort of thing, just because that's what we have time to do. But this coat seems so special that it needed to be a full, brand new
So,
thing
yeah.
that didn't exist anywhere else. And so they made that with it was silk penne, which is really tough to work with, but they did it quickly. And then we had some fur swatches laying around, and I just said, this would look really fabulous with a fur collar. Like that would really put it, like add that Wickie touch to it. Because of course it just can't be a copy of it. It has to be
Right.
something
Yeah.
he would be drawn to. And I don't know, I love those colors together.
Yeah. It's really striking and also a total Wickie look as well.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites too. And the lighting in our shop is okay. It's like overhead fluorescent, but then we happened to get this beautiful weather that day when we filmed it. Even though it was freezing cold, it was a nice sunny day. And when the light hit that coat, it just
Yeah,
shone
it
in
like
this.
pops and like
Yeah.
reflects. Yeah. Another outfit I really liked was Dawn's sheer TV pants.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because she put in so many ass hours, it becomes see-through. So how did you guys go about doing that one?
That was a tricky effect to achieve. Um, I we used it's called fiber etch. So people use it to burn away parts of fabric. So and it will, if you have a mixed fiber of natural and synthetic fibers, it will eat away all the cotton and leave the nylon. So we had to experiment with a lot of pair of pants to get it to burn away, the parts of the fabric that, we needed to go away so it would be sheer, but not have holes, not, so it took a lot of experimenting on different sweatpants to get the right effect. And then, you know, making sure that they could see it. And we gave her a bright pair of underwear underneath because, it's kind of a quick little simple moment, but it's funny, but it just really took a lot of preparation. And I remember that was right around Thanksgiving and we had someone working over the weekend on all these samples to get it.
Like Black Friday, like Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
So what was the right amount of burning, I guess, for you to achieve that? Do you guys remember?
Well, my crafts person sort of figured out, okay, if I put it on for 5 minutes and then I hit it with a heat gun and then I scrape at it, but if I, he said if I do it any longer, it will eat away the other part of the fabric. And and the heat gun kept burning holes in it. So it just, he just had to practice on a few. So I think finally, once we picked the sweatpants that had the right fiber content, then I think it took him 4 or 5 tries to get it burned away without leaving any holes. Because of course we didn't want it to look ratty. Like it just
Right. Yeah.
needed to
It
look
still looked
clean.
kind of fancy because it's like I have like pants with like holes in them, but it's like, I think we all do, but we don't have sheer TV pants like Dawn.
Right. Yeah. And it's sort of like in this TV world, you want things that are sort of pristine,
Mhm.
So that was, and I liked how the holes, I think, were kind of oval, but maybe a little kidney shaped. So it was kind of almost like a cartoon.
What was the
In the
fitting for
show,
that like with
what's that?
Sarah? What was the fitting for that like with Sarah?
Quick. A lot of these ladies are on camera all day. Getting fittings with them is always difficult because they have so many clothes. And so we often are doing quick fittings during lunch or when the cameras are turning around. So it's great that they trust me because the fittings tend to be pretty quick and we don't always have all the pieces there. So I think this was a very quick, either Friday night before she was leaving for the weekend or over a lunch break. And I said, here, throw on these hot pink underwear, try on these. Okay, I took like one picture with my camera so I could show Meredith, and that was it. I mean, she pulled them on and off, and then we went back to whatever we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about some of the more like ornate costumes, like in the third episode with the Little Stinkers music video, and then at the end, like they're just like doused in gold sequins and like that ridiculous headdress on Wickie. So
Yeah.
what went to all of those costumes?
I mean, that was also one of my favorite scenes of the season. I mean, when I first read the script and it said Met Gala fabulous, my brain went in 1,000 different directions. Like,
Fitting
what?
for this year's Met Gala theme too. It's like Gilded Age.
Yeah, actually, we
Yeah.
filmed it long before that, but it would have worked. They could have walked that carpet. I pretty quickly decided gold would be a great direction to go. It would unify them, and it's also just a great color, and it would, you know, do a lot of the heavy lifting to make it look really expensive and, you know, opulent, which was the word that kept being mentioned in our meetings. So we bought a lot of dresses. We rented Renee's chain dress from a designer in LA named Laurel DeWitt, and the matching headpiece that went with that. And then we made Paula's jumpsuit from scratch because she loves bright colors and she loves really crazy things. So I said, okay, let's make her like look like an Oscar, like absolutely head to toe solid gold. And then we custom made her headpiece. We made Sarah's headpiece. We made Busy's headpieces. And then we took dresses, purchased dresses and added onto them to make them more opulent. And then just added accessories, like piled them on, you know, jewelry, earrings, rings, like those breastplates and everything, so that they would just be dripping once they got to that scene. And that morning, none of them had seen each other's costumes. So, and all their dressing rooms are in the same hallway. So they sort of came out one at a time and were just screaming when they saw each other, which is always so fun because that's such a moment to me that says, okay, you did your job. They like it and they like what each other is wearing.
I hope you filmed every one of their reactions. So like I think that's fun to see.
It would be, I think in that moment my brain is so on, you know, focused on the minutia of it that
you were all blinged out, yeah, in gold. Yeah.
and then
Well,
the red was also great in a different way because it was a little more pulled back. It wasn't so ridiculous because the gold was meant for them, you know, that was like stinker stylists dressing them and people with a lot of money. And most of their performances are supposed to be them dressing themselves. And then the red performance at the end of the season is them dressing themselves, or maybe they had a stylist, but they've been given a little budget, which is a new level for them, which is a new achievement for them.
It's a property records budget for them. Yeah. Well, speaking of Gloria, I like her look this season because it feels like it's a little bit more like punk rockish. Like she has a lot of leather jackets. But I also love like the joke in, I guess, the third episode, one of the early episodes, when after she busts her knee and it turns out she's actually wearing her hospital gown underneath her jacket. So I guess when you have a visual joke like that, how do you go about designing like a hospital gown that could still pass as like an everyday shirt, but still work when, you know, it's time for the joke later on, you know, the punchline?
Well, that was a fun costume because problem solving is one of my favorite things. And I think when you have a problem to solve, it creates a better design. So I had a discussion with Meredith about it, and she said, you know, I think it should be like an anthropology top or something like that. And I said, okay, that tells me all I need to know. So then we started swatching fabrics that could go toward hospital gown, or could be, you know, there's such a trend now of that small floral prints, kind of granny prints. So we fit Paula in a real hospital gown just to get the right shape, and that white leather jacket that she wears, she loves. She calls it her Elvis jacket, and she always feels like a, you know, rock star in it. And so we put that little bit of binding on the edge just so that it would, you know, have a little interest. And I was very curious if, you know, I thought with the jacket it would just read like a t-shirt or something. And working with Paula is so fun because she has been a writer for so long, that she is thinking the scene through in her fittings too. So when we were actually playing in the fitting room, she said, oh yeah, and we could have my butt out and I could lose the jacket here. And she's really, I always love it when actors use the costume and really play with it and make it their own, and don't just wear it, but work with it. And so that was a really fun thing in that moment. Because we did think for a while her butt would be hanging out for that.
And then you had to find another pair of like bright underwear too. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, and this is like the perfect show to get physical with the costumes. Like there's just so much slapstick going on too, and then like choreography with their dances and everything.
Mhm.
What one of the costume jokes, I guess, that I love is also in the Lil Stinker episode, like when Paula or Gloria points to the guy who's dressed entirely in swag from canceled shows.
Mhm.
And I think his shirt says like the later early night show with fudge something. And then
Yeah.
his hat says like DUI Miami. So what were all the fake show titles, dead show titles that you guys came up with, and
Oh
also
God.
like making those clothes?
The writers came up with those names. Anytime we have graphics like that, the writers will write it and give it to us, and then we send it to the graphics department and they create it, and then we make the garments. So there's a lot of steps anytime there's kind of a fake thing like that. Yeah, the DUI Miami hat was really great. I think it had sunglasses in the
Mhm.
logo.
Yeah, really have to pause to appreciate everything, because like you said, like a lot of these things are just quick hits, and
Yeah.
yeah, you can miss it.
And that, I mean, the writers had all of that right in the script. So we sort of just made it happen. With the graphics department made those really great show graphics. And then we sort of thought we had to think of which garment it would work best on. So we said, okay, this DUI Miami would be great on the hat, and the later show here. And I wish I could remember all the others, but I think there was a bag too over his arm, and a fanny pack. I think my assistant Heather had this great idea. She said fanny pack, because we were trying to think, how can we get so many logos on one person? So I
You
think
need
that's
to
how.
hit up Meredith for the full list of show names.
Yes, she'll have them.
And lastly, what's your favorite Girls5eva song?
I love the theme song. Can't
Very
lie.
catchy, yeah.
It's so good.
You can't skip it when it prompts you to skip it. You know, when it plays, it's like, no, you're gonna watch the whole thing.
It just tells you everything you need to know about the show. It's so happy. I love the choreography. I love the look of it, and it sets you up for a really great episode. And theme songs are a dying art. Like they
It's true.
just don't do them anymore. And I have always loved theme songs, especially really catchy ones like that. So I will actually listen to it. Like,
Oh yeah, same. No skips.
yeah,
Just like all Girls5eva songs, really. No
yeah.
skips.
If I have to be on set at 5 a.m. and I really need to pick me up, I have been known to put it on. on our truck.
It's a bop. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it'll wake you up, really. It should be people's alarm song.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew, it was great speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.